The Springfield Hellcat, the most carry pistol I've ever shot.
I think he's dead.
So first, let's talk about the cons of the Hellcat. The reasons I don't like it and why you may not want to buy one. Starting with the sights. So the front sight, it's your average high-vis tritium night sight. Not great, not terrible. I personally prefer fiber optics. The real problem is the rear sight. So Springfield probably said, hey, Glock is successful. Let's copy Glock. But they copied the one thing that everyone hates about Glock, the sights. As you can see here, you have a U-notch sight, which, not great, not terrible, but it's painted with this white U. I really have no idea why. I don't know who this appeals to, but all it does is distract your eyes when you're trying to shoot and make you have to think more about where your front sight is and where you're aligning your sights on. So another con of the Hellcat is the second loaded chamber indicator. That's right, it has two. It has one on the side, just like a Glock, where this little metal piece sticks out when you have a round in the chamber, but it also has a port right here on the top of the slide that indicates, so you can see, there's a round in the chamber. Sounds like a great idea. More than likely, Springfield did it to avoid lawsuits, but the issue is it shoots debris onto the face of your optic. And at the end of your range day, you're gonna have a carbon-caked optic. And you might say, I don't intend to run an optic on my carry gun. Well, it's 2022, get with it, guys. So the next con of the Hellcat is the grip and magazine system. So you might say, this is great. It's a short little grip, just like a Glock 43. Well, guess what? Everyone hates to shoot the Glock 43 because you can't even get your pinky on the frame. And this is the same issue with this. Even if people with smaller hands, they can't get their pinky on there because this is a very small grip. Now, you might say, well, you can just get bigger magazines with these extended base plates, right? Now I have a full-size grip and 15 rounds. Well, the issue is when I go to conduct a reload, I drop the magazine, and in order for that magazine to actually exit the grip of the gun, I have to remove my fingers. Because if I hit that mag release and I continue to hold my grip, that mag is going nowhere. So I have to open my grip, allow the magazine to drop free. Then when I'm inserting the new one, I have to keep my grip open, or else I'm going to pinch the skin on my fingers, and now I'm going to be dealing with the pain in my fingers instead of the bad guy. Fuck. So the issue is when you reload and your hand's still there, it fucking pinches your hands and it sucks. So the next kind of con of the pistol is the optic mounting footprint. This uses the Shield RMSC footprint, which means you need an adapter plate like this one from C&H Precision in order to mount a Holosun 507K and anything with that footprint on here. Now, I'm not hitting Springfield really hard for this one because when this pistol was first created, this was pre the 507K, and the Sig Romeo Zero was the only optic with that footprint, and who the hell buys a plastic optic? So why is this a problem? Well, it's a problem because even now in 2022, now with the Hellcat Pro, which came out far after the 507K became popular, it still has the Shield RMSC footprint. And the thing is, if they went to the 507K Sig Romeo Zero footprint, they could still run their weird Wasp optic and the Shield RMSC. So there's really no excuse for them to keep using this old outdated footprint, which then raises the optic, so now it no longer co-witnesses with the sights, and there's literally one set of suppressor-right sights for the Hellcat, and they're almost never in stock. So the last con of the Hellcat isn't with this exact pistol, but with Springfield and the Hellcat series as a whole. And it's the fact that Springfield developed a very nice single-port toolless comp that requires no thread locker. However, you can only buy it with one Hellcat package. You can't buy it separately, you can't buy it aftermarket, you have to buy an entirely new Hellcat. Not only does that make it very expensive to acquire that, because that's the model that also comes with their optic, but they're abandoning their early adopters like myself that now can't get that, and the only compensators I can get are aftermarket that require tools and require thread locker. So now that we've talked about the cons of the pistol, let's talk about the pros, why you might actually want to buy one. First one for me is going to be the grip. So this grip is really nice. Most handguns, I either stipple it, I put grip tape on it, I do something. This, out of the box, perfect. When I'm just rubbing my hands on it, when I'm carrying it against my skin, feels nice and smooth, not rough at all. But when I grip it tightly, like a good grip on the pistol, it becomes super rough, like really coarse sandpaper, like a nice stippled grip. So the next pro is actually the trigger. I know a lot of people don't like the Hellcat trigger. I actually don't mind it at all. It feels a lot like a Glock trigger, except it's actually flat out of the box, which to me is way better than a Glock with its weird curved and serrated trigger. The pull weight isn't bad. It's maybe 5.5, 6 pounds, so pretty decent for a carry gun. And overall, I definitely like it. It's a flat trigger. It's a polymer trigger, which I prefer. And while you can get things like an Apex trigger or something like that, I think for an out-of-the-box trigger, this is perfectly acceptable, and it's actually a pretty good feature of the gun. So one of the other pros about the pistol, and something that's actually pretty surprisingly good, are the controls. So your magazine release, very easy to hit. It has this ramped shelf sort of thing. So it's very easy to actuate it with your thumb. You don't have to move your grip or anything, except for, of course, the fact you have to move your grip for the magazine to drop. But in terms of just the magazine release, it's pretty nice. And the slide release is really nice as well. It's very low profile, doesn't stick out a lot. But yet when I'm actually dropping the slide release, I have plenty to grab onto with my thumb and drop the slide. So one other pro of the Hellcat is the slide serrations. They look very minimalistic. They look almost like they're bad, but in reality, I have super sweaty hands right now. I've been shooting on the range all day, and I can grip very easily on this pistol with minimal strength. So this has really nice serrations, and that is one thing you are getting out of this pistol is some nice slide serrations. So the last pro is actually capacity. This thing, when it's completely flush magazine, is 11 rounds, and it's the same size as the 365 from SIG, but it holds one more round. And when you're using the slightly extended base pad, which for SIG would be a 12-round magazine, it's actually a 13-round magazine. So once again, you're getting one more round. Now, the 15-round magazine is the same length as the 365 XL with the 15-round magazine, but you are getting one more round when you're carrying it in those smaller configurations. So lastly, I just want to talk about how this thing has performed for me. I have somewhere between 5,000 and 7,000 rounds with this pistol. Haven't really been keeping track. But what I have noticed is it's perfectly reliable. There's no issues with the pistol. I haven't had any malfunctions, failure to feed, failure to extract, anything like that. Every time I shoot this thing at the range, it does perform. It just performs, just kind of average. And at the end of the day, that's this pistol. It's an average pistol. It's not a bad option if you can find one for a good deal and you're hurting for a carry gun. You're not going to go wrong, but there's a lot better options on the market, whether it be from Glock, SIG, Smith & Wesson. There's better options than the Hellcat. But for the money, you're not getting a bad gun, just not a great one.